Welcome to the Pop Culture Nihilist channel on YouTube. I'm Jeremy, and I appreciate you stopping by for a discussion that I'll be having with Tristan Glover about the AEW pay-per-view event, Double or Nothing. This is the first AEW match that I've ever seen, and to shepherd me along, I was so grateful to have Tristan Glover of the Martial Arts Film Freak to kind of give me a little bit of context, help me know what was going on, and put me in contact with a person who allowed me to stream the event. What's up, man?
Yeah, I'm gonna come out early on this and say I was so upset that this was your introduction to AEW because I was just I was disappointed with this show. It was just not their best, and for it to be someone's first, I was upset.
So I was upset too, dude. Like there were so many things working against me. So I'd never seen an AEW match before. Tristan and other wrestling fans that I've talked to have told me that in a lot of ways it's the superior product when it comes to in-ring wrestling. He's also said that there
I
are
won't say it's superior, but it's different.
you said no, I'm just joking. I don't want to put words in your mouth. All right, different. My friend, my other friend actually told me that it was superior in ring to the point that he doesn't watch WWE. So look, I took both of those opinions, I amalgamated together, and what came out of my mouth was a lie, and I apologize for that. I'll do better next time. All right. Look, I had a friend who gave me their login password to watch it. Look, don't do that. Support wrestling, all of that kind of stuff. But I logged in on my mobile device and I could not find the event. So I hit up my friend and I said, hey, will you tell me? Because like apparently I'm a fucking boomer, right? I don't know how to use this app. And so they sent me a video of it. And at that point, I was able to find the event. It was on an app called Bleacher Report, by the way, which Tristan, how much was this match?
$49.99.
$49.99. So as I cast it from the app to my television, and it was stop and start since the beginning. It was like 30 seconds uninterrupted, half a second lag, 20 seconds uninterrupted, 1 second lag. And there's a lot of instances where that wouldn't matter as much. I imagine, I don't know, baseball or something. But when you're watching wrestling, you want to be able to like watch it fluidly. So that was really frustrating. And I kept messaging you, Tristan, to be like, how is your connectivity? Was it solid?
I never had a single issue with it.
So it is
I also don't know what internet speed you're working with. What internet speed you working with?
I got solid internet speed. I can run a test real quick.
I'm rocking that 1 gig fiber.
Ooh, I don't know that I'm that good. Let's see. So I am 290.
That's solid.
300. Yeah. It's 295.8. So it should have been a solid connection, but maybe, and I don't know the inner workings of all of this stuff, but maybe because I was on somebody else's account, it was throttling one or the other to ensure that maybe like the primary person had solid connection. Maybe it's because the other person was watching it on their TV and not the mobile app. But as I was following the chat in the mobile app, everybody was bitching about it. And really? The problem with this is this should not reflect on AEW. It's fucking Bleacher Report's problem.
Yeah. I have had previous problems with Bleacher Report, not because of that. I have just had like I don't know if it's still their model, but I remember early on in AEW, like if you didn't catch the pay-per-view live, you couldn't go back and watch it whenever you wanted. You had to wait for them to play it again.
Yeah.
And like they I think they started with Fight, and Fight is just where it's yours, you watch it whenever you want. And so when they went to Bleacher Report, I was like, this is miserable. I hate this. Like, because it would start with like when I'm at work and I would get home and it's halfway through the show and I can't rewind it. So
Yeah,
I hated it.
that's very frustrating, especially if you're spending that kind of money. So
Mhm.
that is again a problem with Bleacher Report, but I was trying to watch it, trying to get into it and struggling with the technical side of it. Plus watching the Hardys fight at the beginning, it was almost like I think it was a pre-match that you didn't have to pay for to maybe
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
get people into the pay-per-view, but it was the Hardys and Hook defeated Ethan Page and the Guns by submission. I wasn't all that impressed.
Uh, as much as I am an absolute Hardy fan, Jeff Hardy was my favorite wrestler as a kid. It hurts sometimes to watch him wrestle, and I'd like him to just do one final run and step back. And I feel like he's going to be one of those wrestlers like a Ric Flair or I don't know, somebody else
Some other 100-year-old wrestler.
who is going to have a problem stepping away.
Yeah, and understandably so. I mean, if it is your life and it is your identity, I get that. What I like about the Hardy Boys is that they're still rocking like the fishnet shirts and the 60-inch pants leg Jinko jeans. That's fun to see. I used to like the Hardy Boys a lot too. They were some of those high flying wrestlers that like technically were really good. And yeah, they're getting a little long in the tooth at this point. But all of this said, it's really hard for me to say for sure, like what my enjoyment would have been if A, the connection would have been better, and B, the crowd would have been a little more alive, because this is Las Vegas. You expect some sort of pageantry, but like it was very flatly lit. The
What
entrances
I
did
saw,
go.
and so this, I think they need to stop going to Vegas. They go to Vegas once a year for the show. It's called Double or Nothing. You know, it's like it's poker or whatever. I don't know. They got poker chips everywhere. It's in Vegas. I think Las Vegas is a tapped market.
Explain.
And I say that because there's pictures of the venue and like the hard cam side. The hard cam side is always a little bit bare because that's where they have a lot of the camera set up. But there's like almost nobody sitting on the hard cam side. And it feels like when you have that show in Vegas, even though the tickets have been on sale for months, it's like, yeah, you're going to get the fans who are willing to fly out or drive from California or something to go. But then you're also going to get the people who like are like, well, we're in Vegas this weekend. What's available?
Yeah.
And it just, I don't know. I feel like Vegas is just tapped. They need to stop going there. This crowd was like, it was packed everywhere but that side, and that's fine. That's very common. I've been to SmackDown shows like that. But they were just dead. And it felt like it was people there who were just in Vegas for the weekend and they didn't really know what they were watching maybe, and like the actual fans that were there couldn't get people riled up. People were just sitting on their hands. It doesn't matter what show it's at. I've seen WWE shows like this. I've seen Impact, Ring of Honor, AEW now. Like, the crowd is vital.
The crowd is
The
vital.
crowd is extremely vital. That's why wrestling during the pandemic was so weird.
And that's what even when you and I first started talking about this, like a big part of the draw for me is the enthusiasm from the crowd. And yeah, to hear, as you mentioned in our last video where we were talking about WWE, Sheamus and Gunther doing this, like, no, it was Gunther and somebody doing this like really extreme violent match in front of not a crowd. That would just like, it would be weird for me to watch that.
Something like that. It was weird. Yeah, it's Gunther and Ilya Dragunov.
Yeah.
That was weird, but it kind of put you in the moment with them, so it was kind of strange. But then there's other stuff, like I go back to the very first SmackDown of the pandemic. They did some interesting stuff. They did some fun stuff. Triple H was being really goofy. Triple H was on commentary. Triple H was holding a camera at one point, joking about how they're understaffed because of the pandemic and he's got to do extra jobs. He had a lot of fun with that. That part was fun. But then the wrestling in the ring was weird because
Yeah.
you just heard all the grunts, you heard everything. It was like the wrestlers had no crowd to play off of. It was peculiar. It was strange.
Yeah, when you say vital, it's like I imagine a good bit of your juice, like your adrenaline, is fed when the audience is fucking chanting your name or when they're booing you. Like so much of what the entertainer is able to give is what they're receiving. And to tie it back to the AEW thing, it just felt like the crowd was not present in a way that you would have liked for him to be, that I would have liked for him to be, that would have made it feel more like an event. I saw people on their fucking phones and I was like, what are you even doing there?
Yeah,
They were
like I
like
said, it
taking
feels
pictures.
like people just on vacation in Vegas.
Yeah. Okay, so look, I had a very bad taste in my mouth. I was like, man, fuck AEW. This shit kind of sucks. Like I get why, because there's always going to be hipsters out there, right? This is my thinking at the time. I'm like, you're just telling me it's cool because it's the less popular thing and you want to be that person. We all are like that a little bit. Like, I don't want to be like some mainstream band is my favorite band. I want to be like the obscure shit that I like is my favorite band. And that's what makes me unique. It makes me myself or whatever. So I wasn't getting it, dude. I'm projecting all of this shit onto it. I ended up shutting it off for the night. And I was like, I'm going to come back to this shit later, when I can watch it uninterrupted and have the ability to kind of skip around and hop around, as I would like to. So from that point until the House of Black match, what were some of the highlights? No. Up until the Tony Storms. Okay, so we have Orange Cassidy and Swerve Strickland. Was that good?
So that was the 21-man battle royal, where the final two were Orange Cassidy and Swerve Strickland. That was good. I enjoyed that a lot. I enjoyed the lucha spots. I enjoyed the big man spots. So the story going into this is Orange Cassidy is the international champion, and so Orange Cassidy's character is he's a fantastic A+ wrestler, but he's lazy.
Okay.
So when he decides to turn it on, he's one of the best. And sometimes even when he's being lazy, he's still kind of one of the best. But he's been doing these open challenges for his championship. So he's been wrestling every single week for like the past 2 months. And someone's like, well, you still have like 20 people that want a shot. And he's like, oh, that sounds like a lot of work. Why don't we just knock it all out in one night? Let's just have a battle royal for it. And so that was sort of the driving force of this match. And so it comes down to him and Swerve Strickland. I enjoyed the ending, them both on the apron. Looks like he's going to go for a big punch. Like Swerve's like hanging on by one hand to the rope, and Orange Cassidy just looks at it and just lightly kicks his hand off the rope. It's just like, no, get out.
That's good. Yeah. Okay. I saw more of this than I thought I did as I'm looking through. I don't know the rules, man. I was so confused. Are Orange Cassidy or Swerve Strickland one of the two guys that were like there was the rapper with the
Orange
fronts.
Cassidy, he was one of the dudes that was just standing, or not Orange Cassidy. Swerve Strickland was one of the guys that was just standing on the ramp.
How do you do that?
They just, wrestlers like the Miz and some other wrestlers have done that before. They'll get in the ring and start the match, but then because you have to go over the top rope, they'll roll out the bottom rope, and they'll just chill on the outside for a bit. Whereas this one started with there was a handful of people who just didn't get in the ring at first.
Yeah, so
and they were just kind of fighting outside before they got in the ring.
All right, well, if I'm ever in that situation strategically, I'm waiting until the last motherfucker gets thrown out and the guy has to call me in. I'm going in fresh.
Yeah, people have done it before.
All right, well, fair enough. I like, because in WWE they're like, there's the countdown. You got to come in. But then, I don't know. There are all these different sanctioned matches with different rules and shit. It's fine. Adam Cole defeated Chris Jericho. Bro, this fight was so dumb.
This was unnecessary. So Adam Cole and Chris Jericho. Adam Cole is one of the best of his generation, and Chris Jericho is Chris Jericho. They have the potential to do so much better than this. They did better than this on Dynamite this week. They had a mixed tag match with Adam Cole was with his girlfriend Britt Baker, and Chris Jericho was with Saraya, and they had a mixed tag match, and it was far more entertaining and better than this. And what I think it is the main event was this big extreme hardcore match. And this was an unsanctioned match. So unsanctioned being if anyone gets hurt when doing whatever, it's not AEW's responsibility. Go crazy. And when you have a big main event that is that already, you don't need another one of those.
I see.
These two are definitely in a good feud. I enjoy the story going into it. I really liked a lot of the stuff going into it. And I think these two are fully capable of having a brutal technical match. I think they could just have a really good wrestling match where they, go crazy hard on each other. I don't think it needed to be weapons and all that stuff.
Hit me with the 3-sentence synopsis of the feud. I think it has something to do with Adam Cole's girlfriend or something, or wife.
Adam Cole talked about how he grew up a huge Chris Jericho fan and he respects Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho did not give that back. He's like, you're dumb and whatever. So he beats down Chris Jericho. Britt Baker comes down to defend him. She's in a big feud with a group of women right now called the Outcasts. So Chris Jericho has the Outcasts come out and they beat down Adam Cole and they handcuff him to the rope and they have the Outcasts beat the shit out of Britt Baker in front of Adam Cole. And
while he has to watch. I see. Yeah. They cucked him. All right. FTR defeated Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. I didn't see this one.
I enjoyed it enough. It was kind of meh for most of it, which sucks because FTR are just one of the top 3 tag teams in the world right now. They used to be in the WWE called the Revival. They left because they just felt like they weren't being used properly, and they were right. I like Jay Lethal. I'm not a Jeff Jarrett fan at all. I didn't grow up in the 90s with him. The Jarrett family is a legacy family. His father, probably his grandfather too. I don't give a crap about Jeff Jarrett. I don't care if he started TNA. I didn't care for him in TNA either. There was a whole lot of great stuff in TNA, and I don't think any of it had to do with him.
He's the one I know.
I just don't give a damn about Jeff Jarrett. I like when they brought in Jeff Jarrett into AEW, I was like, this is not necessary. But yeah, this match was all right. I enjoyed it for the most part. It won the crowd over. It got the crowd going towards the end. That's probably also where it got me going is so we should also say that the special guest referee was Mark Briscoe, who's a tag team wrestler as well, but his brother passed away a couple months ago from a car accident. And so what won me over in this match is Mark is down as the referee. He's been hit. And Aubrey Edwards, the referee, comes out and she's trying to get in the ring. She's being stopped. And Jeff's wife hits Aubrey with the guitar.
Yeah.
That was and that genuinely did like pop me sitting on my couch. I sat up and I was like, you bitch.
I'm in this now. Yeah. I said I know Jeff Jarrett. I should rephrase that and say he's the one wrestler of the 2 that I recognize their name. Do not know them. Any of them. Wardlow defeated Christian Cage.
Yes, a ladder match. This was fine. It was good. I enjoyed a lot of the spots from it. I enjoyed Wardlow hitting a really good swanton off a big ladder through Luchasaurus. Yes, there's a wrestler named Luchasaurus.
I like it.
Yep. I love the story on how he got that name, I'll tell you. But yeah, Christian's the ladder match veteran. He's Christian from like Edge and Christian and the Hardys and the Dudleys.
Yeah. Okay. I'm familiar with that guy as well.
Yeah.
Is it possible that AEW just gets WWE's hand-me-downs?
No, they've got a good crop of like OG people. So like the reason you have someone like FTR coming to AEW is because they weren't being used. Like they had put on incredible 5-star matches in NXT, and then they got called up to main roster and they won a couple championships, but they just weren't doing a lot. Like even though they won championships, like it was like, we're not putting on matches that make us feel like we're using our creativity. They didn't feel artistically challenged.
I see.
And so they went and they've been in AEW. They've been all over the indies. They killed it. They had like a trilogy of matches with Mark Briscoe and his brother Jay last year that were some of the like craziest tag matches you've ever seen. They've been killing it. They've been like last year they were like draped in gold. They had the AEW tag team championships, they had the Ring of Honor tag team championships, and they had the AAA down in Mexico championships.
Nice. Okay. Tony Storm defeated Jamie Hayter. I did not see this match. How was it?
This was barely a match. It was more of a segment. Tony was it what am I looking at? Jamie Hayter. Jamie Hayter's fantastic. She's an amazing wrestler. She's been a great champion, but she's injured. So Tony Storm comes down. She's with the Outcast with two other women. The Outcasts are three women who used to be in WWE.
One of them's formerly known as Paige
Yeah, one
Saraya,
of them used to be
who's
Paige.
Christian's girlfriend, or who's Jericho's girlfriend or something.
He's on her. She just tagged with him for a match.
Okay, okay.
But the Outcasts throw Jamie Hayter out. They're beating the shit out of her. They're like crushing her shoulder in the ring steps. They ask Jamie Hayter, "Do you want to have the match? Do you want to go?" And she's a fighting champion, so she's like, "I can go. And she puts, to be fair, for the little 2 minutes they do, she's not able to do much right now because she's injured, but she puts in a good effort of like making it look like she may pull it out and she may win. And then shenanigans and she loses.
Okay.
Now she can go have surgery, whatever she needs to do.
The House of Black defeated the Acclaimed.
So this was a fun match. I think it went on a little too long with the hope spot. The hope spot being like one dude getting beat down in the ring and he can't make a tag. I think that went on a bit long. But I love all these guys. The Acclaimed are fantastic. Billy Gunn is great. I love the House of Black. Those are some of my favorite guys. The rap that Max Caster does. Max Caster in the Acclaimed, every entrance he does like a freestyle rap on his opponent or whatever. And so Buddy Matthews, who's in House of Black, his real life girlfriend is Rhea Ripley.
Okay.
So Max Caster comes down doing his freestyle rap, dissing his opponents, and he says, Buddy Matthews acting all ominous when he's getting cucked by a kid named Dominic.
Oh, that's good.
Like, that's fantastic.
That's good. Oh shit. All right. Well, I need to watch that. I didn't see that match. Now I really want to go in and watch it. Jade Cargill defeated Taya Valkyrie.
Yeah. Did you see this?
No.
I think you'd like Jade Cargill a lot. She's probably going to be gone for a while. She has been working her ass off. She's been the TBS champion for a long time. She's 60-0. Now she's 60-1. This was a fine match with Taya Valkyrie. I enjoyed a lot of it, but the point of it, I guess, was after the match, Mark Sterling, one of her manager, comes in and is like 60-0, undefeatable. Whoever else wants a challenge, bring it on. And then Chris Statlander, who's been out with an ACL tear for the past 6 months, she returns, beats down Jade Cargill, takes the title off of her. Jade Cargill is now 60-1. Jade Cargill can now go take a nap because she has been working her ass off. And this was great because Chris Statlander she's one of the best women they got. I'm happy to see her there. I'm happy to see her back with a title. This crowd did not deserve it. They did not deserve to see Chris Statlander come back and do that. And it made me angry.
So Jade did on the booking here or whatever that I'm looking at Wiki, they call it two different matches. I guess it was Jade versus Taya Valkyrie, and then Chris Statlander ran out and defeated Jade in those back-to-back matches. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I'll check that out. What I did see are the next two matches, right? So Sunday night, having a bad experience with it. Really not feeling AEW all that much. Woke up the next day, found it on the internet, started watching some of it in the background while I was working, much like I'm doing now, working. And I'm casually engaging in it when I had a minute and stuff. But then come these last two matches, and I've got to say, it really did shift the narrative for me pretty substantially. I started to really appreciate a little more what AEW brought to the table. I don't know, maybe the crowd was getting more enthusiastic at the time.
These two matches had the crowd. MJF, Sammy Guevara, Darby Allin, and Jungle Boy, they got the crowd going, and they're good enough to do it.
What do you think about Jungle Boy?
I love Jungle Boy.
Okay.
I've been with Jungle Boy since the company started. I'm happy seeing him grow. Do you know who his dad is?
Did
you ever watch? I think he was on 90210.
Luke Perry.
Hey, Luke Perry boy.
I did know that. I did know that. That's yeah, he looks a lot fucking like him. That makes sense. So MJF, tell me about that guy.
Well, he's the salt of the earth. He's better than you, and you know it. He's great. He's an asshole. He's a piece of shit. He calls himself the devil, and he kind of fucking feels like the devil sometimes.
And you think he is the best heel? Well, hey, look, I don't want to put words in your mouth. You
I did
think
say he's the best heel.
he's the best heel uh of any wrestler working right now?
You know what the thought I was kind of having? I love comparing wrestling to movies. Is Roman Reigns like feels like a Thanos? Like he is good. He's a great villain. He is. But MJF feels like
The Joker.
kind of. He's like a more street level villain, but he's fucking dark. Like,
Is that the comparison you were gonna say?
that's kind of, I mean, that's kind of what I was going for there. Like one's like a intergalactic master of evil, and the other is like he's street level, but he's real freaking, he's brutal.
Yeah, okay. I liked watching him in this match. I think he did the heel thing really well. There's a lot of cool spots going on in this match. Which we'll talk about in a second, I think is a challenge when you do have a ring full of people, how it's hard to have everybody doing something at the same time. But I think that the interplay between these four guys was like really working. It seemed like everybody was busy at any given time. There was action going on in any given corner. And I thought it was really good. This was definitely it was definitely change in the way that I was watching things. And it was a 4-way match for the AEW World Championship. And yeah, I guess MJF retained.
He did this match. So this is what an AEW show is, in my opinion. This level of intensity from everybody, the playfulness in certain ways, how much it got the crowd going. That is what a typical AEW pay-per-view is. A typical AEW pay-per-view is the sensation of this match, not every aspect of it, but the feeling this match had the entire show. That is what your typical AEW pay-per-view is. And I was so upset that this whole pay-per-view wasn't it. But this match was fantastic. I loved so much of it. I've seen it a few times. I've seen it live in Nashville when I went to AEW. Darby Allin goes for his dive on the outside, and Sammy Guevara like catches his head into a cutter. I love that spot. Doesn't matter how many times I see it.
Yeah.
You had two guys on the outside, and then I think it was Darby and MJF were on the outside, and then Jungle Boy and Sammy Guevara get on the top rope, Spanish fly off the top into them too. It was incredible. I loved the stuff in the ring, like when they're all kind of tired and they're just like putting submissions on each other. They're just slapping each other around because they're all exhausted. I loved it.
Dude, there was a spot earlier.
Also MJF, when they're doing that, everyone's like slapping each other, and MJF being the cunning heel just goes, I poke, I poke, I poke.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm looking at the lineup or the roster, and I can't remember who it was, but two guys came off the top turnbuckle in almost like a double suplex off the top rope. Do you remember that?
Are you talking about in the ring or outside the ring?
In the ring.
In the ring. Yeah. So I think Jungle Boy was hung up by his feet in the corner. Somebody is standing on top, and then somebody's like suplexing off of that. But during the suplex, Jungle Boy is grabbing the person on top of him for a suplex. And then MJF is walking in, and he just kind of gets hit by it.
Yeah. So, dude, so cool. So cool. So, yeah, I really enjoyed that. Definitely up to that point, my favorite. But it would be really hard to top the Blackpool, the Anarchy in the Arena match.
Yeah.
Just 27 minutes of sheer fucking insanity. I think Anarchy is definitely the word that sums it up. Though there was one thing that they kept doing. They're like, he's got the screwdriver. He's got the screwdriver.
Yeah, I'm not super into the screwdriver stuff they've been doing for some reason, but I can get over it.
And they just turn it around, just stab the person with it. What do you got the screwdriver for if you're just gonna bump them with the handle, dude?
I think he's holding it by he is hitting him with the screwdriver. He's just holding it so deep into it you can't see it because you can't actually be jabbing somebody.
You can't just stab somebody to death with a screwdriver in an Anarchy match.
Not in AEW, at least. Maybe GCW. Game Changer Wrestling, they probably would.
So hit me with the premise of this match. What is the anarchy in the arena? What makes it different than others?
Anarchy in the arena is just it's two teams brawling it out. They can go anywhere in the arena. Any that they can go outside, they can go into the halls, they can go into the crowd, whatever. Usually it's two teams that are in a total blood feud. This is the second of these for Blackpool Combat Club and the first for the Elite. Um, I loved the juxtaposition of you have Kenny Omega and John Moxley going into barbed wire, but then if you go out into the hall, you have Claudio Castagnoli swinging around. I think it was Matt Jackson into a trash can.
Yeah. People getting freaking pile drivered into the beds of trucks outside in the parking lot. Pins, thumbtacks getting thrown down in the ring. Who is the team you were rooting for to win in this match?
The Elite, just for the story within them. Like right now, the Blackpool Combat Club are just kind of like a force of destruction. They're just going around beating the shit out of people. Whereas the Elite have the story with them, but then they also have something internal going on with themselves as well.
I see. Okay. Yeah, dude, there were so many just wild, kind of extreme wrestling spots in it. It's like I winced so many times throughout it. And I don't know if that's the mark of a good match, but it certainly is fucking fun
How'd
to
you feel
watch.
about the barefoot and tax?
Oh, it was so fucking hard to watch, dude. Oh my God. And then the poker chip with the barbed wire on it. But yeah, dude, like when they're going and doing spots around these little devices, you're just like, oh God, it's about to happen. It's about to fucking power bomb them onto those barbed wire. It's wild, dude. It's wild.
I'll tell you my favorite moment, and it wasn't even an actual spot. It was a character moment between Kenny Omega and Hangman. There's a moment where the two members of the Elite in the ring are Kenny and Hangman, and they look at each other and they give this look of like, it's you and me, let's go. And they start fighting everybody. And what the reason that is so great is the story between Hangman and Kenny Omega and the Elite. Like Hangman has sort of been the center of it all. Hangman comes into the company when they first started and he says, I will be the first champion. And then he fails at that. He loses to Chris Jericho. And he feels so defeated internally. He's like, I messed up. And everybody in the Elite at the time was kind of on a losing streak, but they're like, we're stronger together. And Hangman was like, I don't feel elite. I don't feel good enough to be in this group. So he like leaves. He goes through this whole story of like depression and all this stuff. He ends up teaming with Kenny Omega. They have success. They become tag champs. And Hangman like stays in this tag team because of the success. But he's not feeling like fulfilled or anything. He still feels crappy about himself, but he's seeing success, so he stays in the team. He ends up like befriending a group called the Dark Order, who sound like an evil cult. They're really just kind of a bunch of goofy guys who are good wrestlers.
Okay.
They used to be an evil cult.
Okay.
Their leader was a guy named I'm blanking on his name. The real guy's name was John Huber, and he unfortunately passed away. He ends up finding like a friendship with them and has a falling out with Kenny Omega. He leads to the downfall of the team. They lose the championships and he's like finds the friendship with these other guys. Come around to like a whole year later, Kenny Omega is the champion of the whole company. He's the bad guy, and the person to take it off of him is Hangman.
I see. Okay.
There's even like a great thing where the whole time Hangman is like becoming like an alcoholic, and it's it sounds weird in wrestling, but it was really working. And when he wins the championship, the Dark Order greet him in the ring with a beer, and he slaps the beer out of their hands and gives them all a hug. And it was like freaking amazing.
He was the anti Stone Cold. Like nobody ever talked about Stone Cold being an alcoholic. It was like, oh, look, he's crushing a beer on his head. He's the best. Yeah. All right. Okay.
But so like for those two specifically, Kenny and Hangman, to have this just crumbling relationship, and to come to them in the ring together and just looking at each other and being like, let's go.
A lot of history there.
I'm like, that was the moment they looked at each other. I was already into the match, but the moment they had that like little character spot together, I was in it.
Yeah. And picture me having no context being like, okay, they're just looking at each other. That's cool. It was great. It was fucking great, dude. I really liked it. I guess the Blackpool Combat Club won. This mysterious this mysterious figure enters the ring and ends up costing the match to the other team. He pulls off his hood and bum, bum, bum. It's some dude. Who
So it's
was
some
that?
dude for you. Yeah. So when it happens, I thought it was going to be CM Punk because of the whole history I
Uh-huh.
told you with him and the Elite. That's real. That's like,
Yeah.
they're real trauma. But so when it happens and he's wearing the hood, I'm like, CM Punk? Is that CM Punk? But then it ends up being Konosuke Takeshita, which storyline wise makes sense. And it worked. But
Okay.
I was, for a second, I was really like, is that CM Punk?
Well, while we're talking about CM Punk, we got about 4 minutes left. I guess there's been a lot of discussion about CM Punk surrounding AEW lately, and now we've got a confirmation.
Yeah. So Tony Khan, the CEO of AEW, pretty much just straight up says on Dynamite, CM Punk will be on the first episode of Collision, and it was strange. It was
Because
definitely mostly cheers. It was definitely a whole lot of people in the audience screaming CM Punk. But if you like listen closely, like there's like a healthy amount of booze.
I heard, and maybe this is just sensationalist journalism at its best, I heard that it was booze, that it was primarily booze.
I don't think it was primarily booze, but if like you can hear them, they're there.
Huh. And do you think that it's just because of all of the recent like back and forth with CM Punk?
I think it's people who there's I think there's probably a handful of people who are a little bit fed up with him in the wrestling world of like, are you in or out? What are you doing?
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
then because it's AEW, you know, you have the people who are the elite fans. They are the Kenny Omega Young Buck fans, and that's who CM Punk had his beef with. So you probably got their fans who are like, nah, screw that guy.
Does he come in heel or does he come in as a face?
Well, he's coming into Chicago, so that's his hometown. So he's got to be face
Face.
there,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
But AEW does this weird, and it's a cool thing they do with MJF as a heel. Whenever MJF is in his hometown, Golden Boy.
Really?
He's the absolute heel. He's a bad guy. But when they go to MJF's hometown, he's still a heel. But the crowd loves him. The crowd cheers him, screams for him, and he acknowledges it. He's like, thank every single one of you. You're great. I'm a piece of shit, and you all love it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's great. That's great. That's why I've always like had a really mixed feelings about Bloodline, is because obviously they're the Hills and you want to see the Hills get taken down, but at the same time they're like Pensacola boys to the fucking core.
Yeah.
And I've lived here all my life, and just to have athletes at that level from your hometown, which is not, it's not like I'm from Manhattan or something
Yeah.
like where it's a big city. So like, you know, we had some great athletes from Pensacola: Roy Jones Jr., Emmett Smith from the Dallas Cowboys, Rikishi, Mick Foley lived here for a long time. We have the Uso brothers, Roman Reigns, other ones, but those are like the big ones. And to know that all of those guys are from Pensacola is cool. And then also Adam Cole is from Panama City, and I think one of
Yeah.
his finishers is called like the Panama something,
Sunrise.
the Panama Sunrise. Man, I got so fucking drunk at Panama City when I was a teenager, constantly.
I've been there.
And
I've had a fun time.
it's a good time. Thank you all very much for stopping by. It's been a good time. If you enjoyed this video, let us know. Click the like button. That way it helps the channel out. Also subscribe if you want to stay up to date with even more content. Check down in the description. I will provide links to Tristan's YouTube channel, Martial Arts Film Freak. And until next time, and on behalf of both of us, be terrible. Peace.
Your boy.